Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rotary in the heart of California. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. And again, today I'm with our amazing district governor, Jay Hislop. Jay, we're thrilled to have you back. We got so much great praise from the last conversation you and I had. I'm excited to follow up. You talked a little bit last time about polio,
We did.
polio eradication, and it, there we go. Look at that shirt. There we go. That's the End Polio Now shirt. I know that's one of your passions, but I think you were sharing with me before. There's some interesting connections to between this global initiative and our
Yes.
own, Rotary area, our Rotary district. Tell us about that.
Thank you, Devin, and thanks for doing this. I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from my friends in Rotary and actually a few people in my neighborhood that for some reason are connected to your podcast. So thank you for having me again. Yes, polio eradication has been a global initiative, but its foundational beginnings involved several individuals from our district in a very big way. As you know, polio worldwide was a devastating paralytic disease that has been with us. There's evidence of it in Egyptian tombs from 2000 BC and drawings of people that clearly have paralysis connected with polio. So it's been with us for many years, and people believe you can't eradicate it. It would be impossible to eradicate. So Rotary, working with the World Health Organization, decided to do a test. And they decided to pick the Philippines since they're islands. And there's a certain amount of control of getting in and out, by airplane or by boat, and to see if polio could be eradicated in the Philippines. So a test was done. And indeed, polio in the early 80s was eradicated in the Philippines. So the conclusion was, if it's possible to do it in one place, then it's possible to do it worldwide. So Rotary, there were some individuals who were very involved in this project. And one of them was our local district governor, Cliff Docterman, who followed another district governor from our district. Stan McCaffrey was a Rotary International president in the early 80s, and Cliff Docterman was in it after being our district governor, became Rotary International president in the early 90s. So in the early 80s, Cliff had been traveling the world and got very impressed with the polio project. He and several others in Rotary and outside of Rotary decided that Rotary would take on the project of polio eradication. And he, along with people like Stan McCaffrey, Clem Renault, Albert Sabin, Alan Hinman, Benny Santos, Matt Capris, and Carlos Canseco, all over the world, decided to form a team. And on that team was our own local orthopedic surgeon named Joe Serra. And Joe had been traveling to Malawi for a number of years to do a simple surgery on the backs of knees of polio victims with paralysis in Malawi. When paralysis strikes your legs, it's a terrible disease because it causes your legs to pull up under you, and you have no muscles to straighten them out, and the tendons eventually freeze in that position. So they become what is referred to as crawlers. It sounds like a derogatory term, but it's just a fact of life that all these people could do is crawl. So Joe would go to Malawi and do this simple surgery to release the tendons behind their knees and allow their legs to be straightened and then fit them with braces. So now with braces and double crutches, like we used to see all over the United States for polio victims, they would be able to walk and then go to school, get a job, become a functioning member of their community, whereas before they were mostly begging from the ground on their hands and knees. Joe was very interested in polio eradication. He probably did 1,000 or more of those types of surgeries. So I have a long history with Joe, Dr. Serra. I met Dr. Serra before I was a Rotarian. I met him because Joe Serra was a skier, and he was the medical advisor of our local Bear Valley ski area National Ski Patrol unit, where I trained and became a national ski patroller, partly under Dr. Serra's tutelage. But he was a skier, and he was a friend and a skier, and we would go ski the mountain together and find our victims or patients, and we'd render emergency services on the mountain and haul them off on toboggans and into the first aid room, and a lot of them exited the mountain by helicopter. Joe was a great mentor, because if I was the first person on the scene and Joe came, I still conducted the rescue, and he became my assistant. So great guy. Joe called me. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that's great. That's great. Go ahead and finish your story.
Yeah, so in about 1986, I was a Rotarian by then, and in 1986, Joe called me and asked me to participate in a global eradication effort for polio. And I was really busy then. I had just started a business, and I had a young family, and I just didn't feel like I had the time or the energy for it. And even though Joe really, really, I mean, he would not let me say no, but I managed to say no 3 times to Joe Serra, one of my best friends. And I regretted it ever since. That was the worst decision I've ever made in terms of denying an opportunity. I would have been on the ground floor of the team that eradicated polio worldwide. And I said no. I honestly,
You know, you have done some amazing things in the years since to make up for it. You went a few years back with another Rotarian in the district, Waqar Rizvi, to Pakistan, where I think Waqar has roots. Tell us about that trip.
yes. So that trip was 2018. Wakar had been president of the Rotary Club of Stockton, and he had not yet been nominated or elected district governor. But Wakar and I are really great friends. We were good friends before we went to Pakistan, and now I publicly refer to Wakar as my brother, because he's one of the best human beings I know, and he organized the trip. I think about 14 of us went to Pakistan from our district, and we participated in World Polio Days, and we also went around to numerous schools and health facilities, and we even went to the zoo in Lahore and set up a kiosk. And everywhere we went, our purpose was to deliver the 2 drops that vaccinate children against polio and get closer to eradicating polio in Pakistan. Polio is wild polio still exists in 2 places in Earth, and that is in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And the numbers go up and down. We feel like we're almost there, and then all of a sudden we get disappointed, and then we do a bigger effort, and we almost get there, and then the numbers come up again. But we're staying in this until polio is eradicated from those 2 places. It was a fabulous experience, not only because of the welcome that we received from the schools, from the teachers, from their parents, from all the healthcare workers, the entire community. Everywhere we went, we were greeted with open arms and open hearts. I couldn't even buy a bottle of water. I got thirsty. It was hot. I'd wander into a little kiosk or a little storefront, and some Rotarian would grab my shirt and pull me to the side and said, "No, no, you're not buying anything." And they'd buy me the water. Every night we were feted by a Rotarian at their home with fabulous meals. Pakistani food is amazing. You think of Indian food, very similar in a lot of ways, but they have their own specialties. And we were served everything in a truly Pakistani way, sitting around in backyards and in patios with our new Rotarian friends, having absolutely fabulous conversation with the purpose of focusing on the eradication of polio by the delivery of, guess what? A vaccine. vaccines are important.
Yeah, it really is an amazing place, and I really am thrilled to get some of the details of your story. Great to hear the district was represented in that incredible effort. One of the things I as I reflect on I visited India shortly after the eradication polio was celebrated in India.
Yeah,
With
that was a big deal.
and one of the key things about that milestone was that the number of cases in the penultimate year of cases in India, there were a lot. There were a lot
Yes.
of cases. And then the next year, they had a few, and they were early in the year, like calendar year. So I think that the last case was in January of that year, and then it stopped.
Yes.
And, so you talk about being close in Pakistan and Afghanistan, it could be tomorrow, right? The last case of
Exactly right.
polio in those countries could be tomorrow. It could be yesterday. It could be yesterday already. It could be done.
Absolutely.
We're that close. Very exciting. Well,
Well,
listen,
and the thing about India that I think is fascinating is that was the place that the World Health Organization, they didn't say it couldn't be done, but they said that India would be the place where if we were going to fail, we would fail
yeah,
because,
that would be last.
or it'd be last. Yes. And the reason is it's a very large area with a huge population. The people are relatively mobile. There's a lot of movement in and around India and inside and outside of India. Getting to everyone seemed to be an impossible task. But Rotary set up the infrastructure to deliver a vaccine that has to have a cold chain. So it has to be kept cold from the time it's manufactured until the time those drops are delivered. And there's indicators on the little tubes, the little vials, they're little plastic vials that you squeeze 2 drops out of into the child's mouth. And those have an indicator of whether that cold chain has ever been broken. They change color on the label and they are disposed of because they won't be affected. So to think about India, a hot place like India, where we set up the infrastructure of literally tens of thousands of people going out into communities and vaccinating kids, it wasn't a miracle. It was a job well done by Rotarians and the infrastructure that Rotarians set up. We can do it in Pakistan, I'm sure. Afghanistan is still a little bit more of a problem, but I think we're actually Rotary's diplomatic efforts in Afghanistan with only one purpose, no political purpose, just a healthcare purpose. We have made some serious inroads into the Taliban, who now are supporting instead of opposing the delivery of vaccines in Afghanistan. So I think we'll get there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit. A lot of
Sure.
what we've been talking about, interesting to anyone who's a human being,
Absolutely.
especially a human being living in and around Central California, here in the heart of California. Let's pause for a minute and ask forgiveness from our friends of Rotary to talk a little bit about what's going on in the district for the benefit of Rotarians. You just had a big leadership training the other day. Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Yes, we have leadership training in our district now, which is the districts all over the world provide training for Rotarians. And just like any district, our district had been doing things the same way for a number of years, and attendance had been falling off from some of our leadership training assemblies, conferences, seminars. So we changed the name to the District 5220 Leadership Academy. And instead of having our own internal leadership deliver messages and instruction and training, what I call kind of the brain dump, where I'm going to open my brain and pour it into your brain, and it's just an information transfer. Adults really don't learn that way. They learn more by being engaged and participating and seeing something new that they haven't seen before. So we had our first one in May with Elizabeth Mahoney talking about artificial intelligence as a form of saving time as a leader, how to use it and create time. And then we had Kathy Suvia from Redding, California, who is our entire Western region of the United States action plan champion, which means that her goal is to work with our own Lisa Craig, former mayor of Lodi, who is our local action plan champion, to help clubs and Rotarians formulate goals and objectives and work toward those goals and objectives, not just on an annual basis, which is what we've been doing in the past, but now on a 3-year rolling basis, so our 3-year period started July 1st. And we will add our into the 4th year, because now we're in year 1 of 3 years, which means we're going to be looking ahead to a 4th year beginning in September with our district action plan and each of the action plans for Rotary clubs. And there's a lot of personal leadership to be gained from that. This meeting we just held last Saturday, August 9th, at Ironstone Vineyards in Murphys, California. Very well attended, almost sold the room out, which means that next year we'll probably be looking for a different venue, because we'll be expecting, instead of 125 people, maybe 250 people. So we invited Jeff Cochran from the Rotary Foundation in Evanston, near Chicago, Illinois, to come and tell us stories about how the Rotary Foundation works. And the Rotary Foundation is one of the largest philanthropic organizations in the world, always number 1, or at least in the top 4 of Charity Navigator in terms of the quality. The dollar given to the Rotary Foundation is spent on philanthropy, on grants to provide benefits to less in developing or developed nations where there are people who need help. I don't want to put a label on it. So people who need help in a variety of ways. It might be mothers and children. It might be water and sanitation. It might be community development, education, environmental action. There's just all sorts of things that the Rotary Foundation does. So Jeff delivered a very inspirational and vigorous and energizing speech on Rotary Foundation. And then we had Angela Lopez from Rotary International. And Angela came and spoke about service projects as a way for people to become acquainted with Rotary, and as a way for a Rotary club to find and invite new members to join. And in a nutshell, it means let's go have a service project, and let's invite the community to help us with that service project. And so they will see that Rotary is uniting for good, to do good in the world and change the world, but we have fun doing it. And they will attend probably a group of some of the nicest, most concerned people that they'll ever be around, and get to put their hands on a project that's meaningful. Angela's theme was throw a party and make it a service project and invite the community. Just don't do it within the confines of your own club. So they were so well received. There was so much energy in the room. We had the more young and diverse members in that room than we've ever had at any of our conferences. And guess what? The younger, newer members were standing up to contribute and participate more than anyone else in the room. So it gave me a great feeling that we are on the right track in our district, not just to attract new members, but to lead and to teach leadership.
Yeah, amazing. One of the great opportunities to bring leaders together and to cultivate a culture of leadership and action is the annual district conference.
Correct.
You've set one up to join with some other districts, Far West Fest in May of next year in Reno. Tell us about that event.
Well, there's each class of district governors is a worldwide class. There's 530 district governors, so I have 530 peers in the world, and we call them our classmates. But my local class is all of the Western United States, and there's 30 districts in the Western United States. 5 of us are really closely approximated. So a district that's centered in Reno, a district that's centered in Silicon Valley, a district that's centered in Monterey that goes all the way to Fresno, a district that's in Sonoma County and runs all the way up the coast, and our district, which is the great Central Valley of California. The San Joaquin watershed is our district, basically. So the 5 district governors for that district, we became friends and we got to chatting about it. We said, instead of each of us doing our own district conference, let's come together and do a really grand district conference on a scale that is more similar to a national convention than just a local meeting. And we're having that at the Sierra Grand Resort in Reno on May 1st through 3rd of 2026. If you're a Rotarian in our district and you haven't registered for that, go today to the website and register. You will not regret it. And if you don't come, you will have such FOMO that you'll never recover from it. So we need you there. I think you're going to want to be there. I'm not going to give you a teaser about all the programs, but the venue itself I'll give you one thing that we're going to do. The venue itself has a full bowling alley, full service bowling alley, as big as anything you've seen as a standalone bowling alley. So we're going to have a bowling tournament called Pins for Polio. And we're going to ask people to come and bowl and make donations for polio. I think we'll raise quite a bit of money to end polio now. And we're going to have a fun time doing it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, as we wrap up here, Jay, I want to invite you to circle back to our audience of friends of Rotary. Why should they explore the opportunity to join Rotary? What's the pitch?
2 things. Rotarians are people of action, and we look for ways to change the world by changing the world directly, by changing our communities, and by changing ourselves. But we don't do it online. We do it in person. And that's the beauty of Rotary. We meet, we make friends, and form lifelong relationships. And it's out of those relationships that we explore all of our opportunities for service. We do say service above self, but that service above self is only possible because of the relationships we have, the friendships that we form, the mutual respect that we have that honestly crosses all barriers. And through those friendships, we achieve so much good in the world. In addition to that, we have a way for people just to get together and enjoy each other. And we are living in a world today where there is an epidemic of loneliness, and that loneliness leads to depression and the highest rate of suicides in young people that we have ever experienced. So mental health is a big component of what we do in Rotary, directly by our support for each other, but also in our philanthropy by supporting mental health initiatives all over the globe. And that's a new but exciting, and I think will be a very rewarding aspect of Rotary. I'm sorry. The reason someone should come to Rotary is to make a friend, have an absolute cure for any loneliness in their life, and unite to do good.
That's a compelling pitch. What action should someone take first to get started on a journey of exploring a membership in Rotary?
If you know a Rotarian, talk to them about joining a club. If you don't know a Rotarian, go to rotary.org. If you're not in our district, and push the button, how to take action with us, and that'll take you to where you can have an entry portal for finding a club. If you're in our district, 5220, go to rotary5220.org. You'll see that scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And look around, find a club. Send an email to a contact on that list. Send me an email, and we'll see to it that you find a club that suits your desires, suits your interests, and allows you to serve in a way that you want to serve, and allows you to find people that are compatible and with whom you want to make friends and spend the rest of your life doing good.
Yeah. And I will add, if you discover this podcast on Substack, you can subscribe. I encourage you to do that there. If you do, you can always respond to the email you might get, and that will ping me, and I'll be sure to connect you with Jay or some other person in the district who can connect you. So thanks, everybody. Jay, thank you. Amazing story.
Devin.
Just a tremendous experience. Thank you for being here, everybody. Let's do some good.